Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I am joined by an exciting young Sydney talent who has just released a beautiful cover of the Foo Fighters song Everlong. Welcome to Pario magazine, Grace Amos.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How's everything going in your life at the moment? You haven't flooded at all?
Home has flooded a little bit, but I'm currently living at college at Sydney Uni, so it's not too bad down here.
And is home okay? It wasn't completely flooded?
Um, the town was, I live in Camden, so the town's pretty flooded, but like my home itself is okay. So
Okay. Slight positives then, I guess.
yeah.
So we're here today to chat about your new singles and upcoming live shows. Before we dive into those, are you able to quickly introduce yourself to our audience and sort of who Grace Amos is off stage?
Yeah. So yeah, my name's Grace. I just turned 18. I just started college and uni at the Conservatorium in Sydney. I've been writing music for a few years now. I've been doing singing though since I was about 4, so it's always kind of been my thing. But yeah, I've been writing songs since about 2019. I released my first song on Spotify in 2020. And since then, I've released another song, Decide, which I released, I think it was a month ago today. And then, yeah, my cover of Everlong. My music is very focused on personal experiences, and I really like my aim with my music is to say something. Like every word has a purpose and it's meant to be there. A lot of my music so far has been in like a very country kind of space. But I think now we're going into a bit more of a rock kind of vibe, which is something that I've always wanted to do because that was the music that I grew up listening to. Um, so I'm really excited to see where that takes me.
Okay. So you mentioned singing since the age of 4. Where did that passion for music first come from?
I think a lot of it was from my dad. We always used to listen to music together. He was kind of the one that, made me fall in love with music. And my mum wanted me to play the piano. So we had a deal where if I started piano lessons, I could also start singing as well, because that's what I really wanted to do. So I started, yeah, singing and piano at the age of 4. And then it kind of just grew from there. In primary school, I tried to learn like a different instrument almost every year. So I did violin for a year, I did the cello, I did percussion for 2 years. More recently, I've picked up the guitar. I picked that up probably around 2019 as well. Um, and from that, I've been endorsed by Takamine Guitars, which is incredible. They're amazing guitars. And also from that, I got an endorsement with Lanakai ukuleles. So I picked up the ukulele as well. I taught myself how to play it. And yeah, I think music's just always been a really big thing for me.
Wow. Are you still like proficient in all of those instruments? If you just picked one up, you could play it?
Guitar and ukulele, yeah. Piano, yeah. Drums, I probably could. Cello and violin might take me a bit longer, but I think I could figure it out.
Okay. So like at some point we could maybe get Grace Amos just doing everything on an album.
Maybe, yeah.
And then you mentioned sort of transitioning from doing music and singing to becoming a singer-songwriter. How did you find that process?
Well, it really started when I received a scholarship to the Junior Country Music Academy in Tamworth in 2019. I'd never really listened to country music before, but it was a really good opportunity. So I went along, and that was where I wrote my first song. And I kind of just fell in love with it. And it was a very therapeutic process for me to songwrite. It's kind of my way of sharing how I feel about situations and how I feel about things that are happening, today. And it's it's been a really good tool for me just to kind of I'm not a very vulnerable person. I won't like openly talk about how I feel about a situation. So it's been really helpful to have music to kind of fall back on because it's, you're saying something without really saying it. Um, but yeah, so I started, writing songs more regularly. I work with a studio called the Artist Studio in Randwick in Sydney, and we aim to do fortnightly sessions for about 2 hours with the mentors and producers there, and we write a song in those 2 hours. And I think just getting into the practice of that has been really good for me, and it's been really helpful in discovering my sound and what's working for me.
Okay. How important have places like the Tamworth Association, obviously the conservatorium now, been for your growth and development? And do you think they are vital for the music industry?
I think Tamworth was an incredible experience for me. After I did the academy, I had like a whole network of people that could like help me, and people I could go to like help me discover like what I want to write about and how I want to start creating music. And from that, I got to go to songwriting retreats in Victoria, and I got to go back to the festival the year later. And I think it gave me a lot of confidence. I'd never really done gigs before that. I'd done like school performances and things like that, but it really gave me the confidence to kind of see that I could go into a career like this. And I think it was a really incredible experience. And as for the conservatorium, I think it's incredible to go from high school to a place like this because you're just surrounded by so many other people who just are having the same mindset as you, and they all love music and they're all so supportive, and it's such a collaborative environment, and it's just incredible to meet all of these new people.
And you've also spoke earlier about sort of transitioning from that sort of country style into rock. Who are your biggest musical inspirations and influences?
I think when I was writing in that country space, there were a lot of artists like Casey Musgraves, Casey Chambers, Maren Morris, who I really drew a lot of inspiration from, especially like women in country. Because the music industry can sometimes be such a male dominated, thing. And so I think it was really cool to like listen to those artists and see how they have grown and how they write their music. And they were a really big inspiration for me in writing my own. But yeah, as I said before, I grew up on like rock music, and artists like the Foo Fighters and like the Killers. They're probably one of my biggest inspirations. I love all of their music, and I find it so interesting just listening to how they write their songs, and other artists like Faker and Frank Ferdinand and all of those kind of artists that I just grew up on. I've always wanted to write in a space like they have. And so I think it's really cool that I can do that country kind of thing and then go into something a bit more what I feel is me. And I feel like that lends itself as well. Like a lot of female artists my age, they'd say, artists like Taylor Swift. And, I love how she started off in that country space and then really found her sound over the years. And, I think she's a huge inspiration for me as well.
Okay. And obviously, we mentioned you have just released a cover of Everlong by the Foo Fighters. What was it about that song that sort of captured you and made you think, I need to do a cover version of this song?
Well, I was approached by the producer who produced Decide, and he said that he had made like this really nice piano arrangement of the song. And I immediately knew it was something that I wanted to jump on, because the song itself, the original song, is so heavy for what the lyrics actually mean. So I think stripping the song back and having just piano and strings really lends itself to what the song's trying to say. And I think it's just flipping the perspective of it a little bit. And I think it was something that, needed to be done, and no one had ever really done it yet. So I was so confused by that because the lyrics are so beautiful, and yet the song is so heavy compared to that. So I just think, it was something that needed to be out in the world.
Okay. And how excited are you to see the announcement this week that Foo Fighters are coming back to Australia?
Yeah, that is, oh, it's so amazing. I haven't personally been to one of their live shows, but my dad has. It's his favorite band, and he always gets so excited when they come back because he said, it's like one of the best concerts I've ever been to, and it's incredible to see how like far that they've come and how excited everyone gets for when they return.
Would that be like a dream support role for you to play alongside them?
I think so, yeah. It would, I just think it would be such a surreal experience to do that, and something that happens, like once in a lifetime. And I think, yeah, it would be an absolute dream of mine.
And then prior to releasing this Everlong cover, you also put out Decide. Can you talk us through the story behind that song?
Yeah, so I wanted to write a song kind of about, I wrote it during a lockdown that I had in year 12 at boarding school. I was at school, I didn't get to go home for about 2 months. It was the term before we started our HSC. And, it was so scary because there were so many big things coming up. People were getting, accepted into uni, and it was just a really scary time. And I wanted to write a song that kind of reflected being scared to kind of grow into yourself and like, be who you need to be and who you actually are, because there's so much fear around that. And then the storyline kind of came up of, not knowing like what is right and not knowing what you should be. And I think it's such a universal experience, and I really wanted to capture that in a song.
And is it correct that that's sort of a queer story as well in that song?
Yeah, it kind of arose from a lot of different things. It was a lot of, talk in the media and like talk from like friends. I went to an all girls school, and, there's a lot of talk about like queerness surrounding like an all girls school and a lot of stereotypes around that. And it was just a mix of a lot of things. And that's kind of how the storyline came up, because it's also such a, topical thing right now of, like what is right and like what in like who you should be. And I think just that storyline really lended itself to what I really wanted to say in the song. And I myself, I identify as unlabeled because I believe that, you haven't experienced everything yet. And I think it's just something that also really lends itself to the song itself, because you haven't experienced everything yet and you don't know who you are yet. And like we're still like really young, and I just think it's important not to rush those kind of things.
Yeah, I guess it's like obviously with the title Decide, it's one of those things of we don't need to decide our entire life at 16, 17 at the end of high school.
Exactly. And it's not really something you can decide either as well. Like it's something that is, and you just gotta, not let yourself rush into it, because it's like it's who you are, and you're gonna grow and you're gonna change. And yeah.
After writing that song, did Mardi Gras this year have a bigger significance for you, having sort of sat there and dwelled on those themes for quite some time writing that song?
I think it did, especially because, I'm in a new space and I'm meeting all of these new people, at college. And, college here is in Newtown, and Newtown is really big with Mardi Gras and everything like that. And it was just really amazing just to like walk down the streets and see everyone just celebrating who they are. And because I had never really experienced Mardi Gras before, like in that kind of way. And I just think, yeah, it has like a whole new light, and it's just something that's really amazing.
And then in September, you're playing at the Valleyways Festival alongside the likes of the Rubens and Skeggs. How are you feeling ahead of that performance?
I am just so excited. At first I was quite, sad because it got postponed. It was meant to be in February. But I think looking at it now, it's going to be so much better. There'll be no restrictions, knock on wood, but and I'll be able to have more music out by then. I plan on releasing, another single in the next month or two, and then an EP end of August, early September, which, I'll have more music to show people. And I'm really excited for the gig. It's going to be incredible.
Is the Valleyways sort of the first time people are going to get to see you live since putting out this new music?
I think it'll be a really big kind of thing. Like I will have, a few more gigs along the way, but it'll be my first big gig with the EP that I'm releasing. That's like kind of how we're timing it. So I can release this EP and then I can showcase it at Valleyways. It's kind of like the launch of it, so to
Yep.
speak. But yeah, I think Valleyways will be my biggest kind of gig to date. I've done a few other festival gigs in Gerringong at the Winter Wine Festival. I opened for Ziggy Alberts, and that was an incredible experience as well. But I think Valleyways is going to be a really big thing for me.
Yep. Perfect place to make a first impression with the EP, I guess. Can only make one first impression. And then what sort of can people expect from your show? Obviously playing the EP, but in terms of the actual live production elements.
Well, I've got an incredible band behind me. They played on Decide, and I want them to play on the rest of my songs coming up, because they really understand, my sound and like where I want to go with my music, and we just really click on a different level. But as for live shows with my new music that I'm releasing, it's something that's going to be really exciting and really upbeat, because a lot of, my past, like previous songs haven't been in that kind of space. But I'm really excited to start releasing this new music, so you can, really see like where I want to go and like who I want to be.
Okay. It sounds like, yeah, now's the perfect time for that sort of stuff to come out. Now that restrictions are easing, we can come back and celebrate and be happy with your music.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, where's the best place for people to support you, track this creative journey and find all this new music when it hits?
Well, I'm most active on my Instagram. I've accumulated over 24,000 followers just on that platform alone, which is already just really surreal. But that's where I'm most active, and that's where I share the most about my music. But a platform that, I've only just started to build is TikTok, because that's so, it's so big at the moment, and it's where a lot of artists are going to, get their audience. And so TikTok is kind of a place where I can be in the space of Instagram and, like update people on my new music, but it's also a place where I can be a bit more of myself without having to like present that like polished kind of look. So I think TikTok and Instagram are like really big for me. But all of my social media is at Grace Amos Music, so you can find me on everything. YouTube's also a really good place where I've been posting a lot of my like professionally done videos of covers and original songs.
Okay, perfect. Good to see it's all under the one handle, so it's nice and easy to find.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's everything I'll need. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and good luck with the releases and good luck with the festival shows.
Yeah, thank you so much.